Welcome back, everybody, to the Gaming Decorator, and welcome back, actually. Sorry, it's been a while since I've uploaded. Life gets in the way of things. I've had some problems with actually recording some videos, along with holidays like Easter and Mother's Day. I had family come down to visit, so trying to get out videos didn't exactly happen as frequently as I'd like to. But hopefully I can get back on schedule and back onto something to get more videos out. There's some more ideas I want to do. So hopefully I can get back to a routine of such and get stuff out there. But today we're doing a final video for Game of Thrones. We're going to wrap everything up in hopefully this episode because I've missed the past couple episodes to upload my reactions of, so I've been behind a little bit. And everybody dies basically. We've had a lot of people die from the Long Night. The episode where the White Walker fight finally showed up. An episode that I've heard was getting a lot of grief for being very dark, like quite literally, and the dark asset of like the night. A lot of people died in this previous episode, in the 5th episode, so the second to last episode. And it's something that the show has always done, with the second to last episode being like the penultimate of the season, and then the last episode is a recap, rebuilding of that season. So this last episode, wow, it feels like they were really going for shock value with that more than anything else. If you haven't caught the episode, I suggest watching it. Hopefully I don't spoil anything for you, but essentially Dany's the Mad Queen now, from what it seems like. They were Her and the army, her and Jon's army, basically had King's Landing taken. The troops surrendered. They were ringing the bells. They had a peaceful takeover that Tyrion was planning, where very minimal lives could have been lost. And then about a half hour maybe, just Drogon flying around, torching the city, and so much destruction and carnage. We finally had the Clegane Bowl. We finally saw the Mountain without his Queen's gear on. When he was the Gold Cloak, when he was first shown as being part of the army now, and then whatever Queen's Guard, whatever she might be calling the army at that point. Man, he looks busted. But we finally got that, and that was bittersweet actually to see the two of them die together. I guess I can understand it, but I was hoping that like Sandor could have won in the end, but they both went out, and they both went out literally in a blaze of glory. But in the real aspect, though, seeing Game of Thrones come to an end like this, it is very bittersweet in a sense, because it's been so much time being invested into the show. Probably about 9, maybe 10 years worth of time total. And just seeing something like that you always look forward to every year finally come to a close, it is a little bittersweet. So there are some things I've been noticing that aren't quite answered yet, so I'm kind of wondering if they might be touched on. One thing I've noticed is that in the episode The Golden Army, they didn't exist. They got railed by Drogon from behind, and that was it. There was this big build up to the Golden Army at the end of season 7, and them showing up in the beginning of this season, and then they were gone for like 2-3 episodes. They show up, and they're gone. They're destroyed. So the big thing with the Golden Army was that they're getting funded from Cersei and the Iron Bank. So I'm wondering if the Iron Bank if they might touch on the Iron Bank a little bit as to where their allegiances might be, if they're gonna pretty much stand with Daenerys, if she even wants that at this point. But where they stand. Another thing is Yara. Theon died in the fight in the Long Night, and Uncle Euron died from his battle with Jaime. So now Yara's left. So is she Queen of the Iron Islands now? Because we haven't seen her, I think, since the 4th episode, I believe, when she got rescued, maybe. But you know, where's she at? Is she back on Pike? Is she going to be the queen now? Are the Ironborn going to be just gone altogether from this last episode? One major thing that I know from the book is the prophecy of Azor Ahai, where That was the character that Melisandre was talking about. That was the character that was prophesized, and I think it was in the beginning of season 2 where that red comet was streaking across the sky. In the books, like where it was symbolized that it was the coming of this grand warrior. And if Jon was to be it, that people were speculating, what was his purpose? Was he really just brought back in the beginning of season 6 for the Battle of the Bastards and reclaim Winterfell? Was he meant to just survive the long night? Or like was there something else? So they never really mentioned anything about that as far as I know, but I know from talking with friends of mine and other people who watch the show that that's something that people are kind of wondering about. So I'm wondering if like they're going to touch on that a little bit. In each season of Game of Thrones, the second to last, the 9th episode is always some sort of big build-up, big thing to culminate for the entire season. Season 1, there was essentially the setup for how the tone of Game of Thrones would be, with killing off the main character. They killed off Ned in episode 9. In season 2, they had the Battle of the Blackwater, where it's a big fight between Tyrion and then Stannis' incoming forces. Season 3 was everybody's favorite, the Red Wedding. Everybody knows how that went. Season 4, we had the battle at the Wall, where it was the Night's Watch and the Wildlings. I believe that was like the entire episode, basically, or like 95% of it. Season 5 had a couple things going for it, where they had Daenerys opening up that fighting pit in Meereen, and the Harpies invading, the death of Shireen, which was very hard to watch. That was the way she was screaming as she was being burnt was it shook you if you weren't prepared for it. Season 6 had a couple things for it, where they had the trial for Cersei that was going to happen, and then essentially the Sept of Baelor blew up, and then Tommen committing suicide by jumping out the window. And then also, I think it was Slaver's Bay, turning into Dragon's Bay, is what she called it. And then the Battle of the Bastards took up a majority of that episode. And then season 7 is when they started to shrink the season down. I think it was 7 last season, and now 6 for this one. So they always had some big grand event happen, and the final episode of the season was always kind of the reactions and stuff for that. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in this final episode, because it's not just the final episode for the season, it's the final episode. It says in the preview on the final episode of Game of Thrones. So it's gonna be a little hard to watch, I think, especially with it being over. It's not just, oh man, the season's over. No, it's over now. So there's a lot of things that are gonna have to try to get wrapped up. And it looks like Daenerys finally got the throne, although from the way she torched the city, I don't think there's much throne left. And I'm very curious, I'm sure a lot of people will be, to see what exactly they have Jon doing. Because you can tell throughout that episode where he exactly was not on par with what Dany was doing in that episode. It started off with her torching Varys for allegedly plotting against her, from the conversation Varys and Tyrion have had with who is a better ruler, Jon or Dany. And then we had both the Cleganes die. Cersei and Jaime look like they went out together. The way they were introduced into the show was together, so they're pretty much going out together as well. Qyburn, Cersei's hand, he's gone, and he got knocked off rough. But I just wanted to almost make like a statement saying that it's been a very fun ride the whole time watching Thrones, and also getting more involved into the books, because it's really good to get an idea like where source material comes from, as well as just understanding the world that George has made and seeing it translated to like a screen. Because if you don't have time to read the book, but you can watch an episode, it's very nice to see how his writing, his work, can get translated to a way we can watch it and digest it a little more easily. So I just wanted to say that amongst everything else that's going on with the season, a lot of people aren't happy with it, with the way it's been turning out, the way storylines have been going, and plot twists. I think there's stuff out there, videos claiming that actors from the season have been saying that it's a mess as well. I don't know. Me personally, I just like to enjoy to watch it, and something like seeing a Starbucks coffee cup doesn't really bother me too much. It just really makes the show a little more funny. It doesn't really break my immersion, but you can feel differently by all means. They did take an extra year, so I understand the criticism of missing something like that. But all in all, it was very enjoyable watching the whole show, the whole series. And hopefully some of these rumors and news articles you hear about and see about prequels and whatnot can actually come to fruition. There's definitely material. There's definitely material to work with. The one book, Knight of the Seven Realms, Seven Kingdoms, is a very cool book about some short stories with Duncan the Tall, Sir Dunk, and Aegon Targaryen. I believe this Aegon in the book was Aegon the Fifth, Aegon the Unlikely, I believe. So it's 3 short stories about different parts of traveling through the kingdoms. And they could always touch on something like that because it's before times of when Game of Thrones started. And actually Sir Dunk was mentioned, I think in Season 2, when King Joffrey and Jaime were talking about deeds that King's guards have done. And he just gets like briefly mentioned. So it's kind of cool that he's in there. So it'd be cool to do something like that. There's plenty of material. So hopefully in the future we can get some sort of Game of Thrones spin-off, whether it's a prequel, another rendition of Thrones afterwards. But until then, though, hopefully this episode, I guess, ends on a high note. I hope. But until then, until we see something else that's Game of Thrones related, hopefully with a show, let me know in the comments below what your favorite moments were of Game of Thrones, what your not-so-favorite moments were, and your favorite characters. Did they die in Season 1 like mine did with Ned and Drogo? Or is your character one of the few that's still alive? Because at this point, pickings are slim. And like I said in my previous video, they're going to start cutting off the meat of the characters, and there's not much left right now, from what it seems like. So let me know in the comments below what you think. What you think about the way the season turned out. Was it a mess as what people are making it seem to be? Do you not care as much? Like me, you just want to kind of enjoy the show? Again, let me know all that in below. Let me know what you think about the show, how it did overall. I'd like to see anybody comment about what they thought overall. Did it get you involved more in the books like it did for me as well? But until then, if you want to see more videos of what I'm going to be doing, I got some ideas for what I want to do, and hopefully my recording setup is working where I can get some better videos out now. But if you want to see more of what I do, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. It's very much appreciated, definitely. But until then, I can't wait to see all you guys in the next video, where actually what I will do a reaction for the final episode. And hopefully it's something good to talk about. But until then, everybody, take care of yourselves out there. I can't wait to see you in the next video.